Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. We are here today with IFBB Classic Physique Pro Santi Aragon, who I was just had the privilege of seeing on stage up in Toronto at the Toronto Pro this past weekend. Excellent show, by the way. I have to slip that in there. Ron Haché, the promoter, very efficient. His whole team, everything was well organized, on time. Toronto was very clean. You know, I had a great time. Right there. And Santi was there, looked great. Third place in a very, very stacked lineup for much more so than I expected for that show. You know, I want to start off because not everyone knows everything about you, Santi. So we're going to go back. You are from Miami. Shockingly enough, your parents came from Cuba, which is pretty rare in Miami. But no, it's not really. There's quite a few Cubans there. The one thing I was very surprised about was the sport that you excelled at as a kid. You were an ice hockey player?
Yes, I was an ice hockey player. Most people, they always say, well, how the hell did you get into ice hockey if you lived in Miami?
Yeah.
Well, it actually makes sense when I talk about it because at the time, this was around, I think, 1997, 96, and the Florida Panthers, they were an expansion team that just started in South Florida. And all the kids got super excited. You know, me as a kid got super excited about, wow, we have a hockey team now. And it turned into, let's play hockey outside with our skates. And, you know, we had a lot at that time. Not a lot of kids know this now, but we actually played outside.
What?
We actually played outside with our friends, and we didn't play a ton of video games.
Wow.
So my dad went ahead and he bought us like the hockey nets and the sticks and the pucks and all this stuff, and we would have like 10-15 people out, 10-15 kids out having a pickup game in the middle of the street. So it kind of turned from like a little hobby, and you know, my dad, that's very old school Cuban, you know, wanted to get me to the next level. So he, you know, put me in the camp, and then the camp turned into a team, and then the team turned into a travel team. And eventually I was playing AAA hockey here out of South Florida, and we would travel all over the United States. Every single weekend I was traveling as a kid for 10 years, almost every single weekend. I had no summers. My summers were basically doing prep camps that he would send me out to, you know, these schools up north, so that I can train with other like really incredible athletes and other coaches up north. So I was exposed to sports and at an elite level very, very early as a kid.
So you obviously must have been pretty good at it. Did you just get tired of doing it? Why did you not pursue that any further?
I did it for so long, you know, and at age 18, the only other level now for me to go, because I was, again, very short. That still hasn't changed.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that was holding me back, really, to make it into, like, let's say, a Division I school was my height, because my skill level was there. But then again, if a guy that's 6 feet tall has the same skill level as you, they're going to take the guy that's 6 feet tall every day.
Right.
And I understood that. So I knew that the only level that I could go next was probably maybe a Division II school. And I knew that I just did not want my life in college to just be around so focused on sports, and I wanted it to be more well-rounded. I wanted to kind of explore and learn what it's like to be like an actual human, rather than I got to get ready, you know, almost like a bodybuilder, like you're ready to become a normal person again.
Right.
So it kind of went from that, and then that's how I found bodybuilding after hockey.
How did hockey translate over into that?
We used to train like crazy for hockey, and it wasn't like weights, like we're going to train biceps and we're going to train back and stuff like that. It was very functional trainings, you know, training that we would actually use on the ice, endurance, a lot of skill drills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So our off season was off ice work, conditioning. And I could never gain a fucking pound. I could never gain weight. And my dad, again, we're bringing up my dad. My dad, he would actually feed me, because I used to wake up in the morning. I just did not have an appetite. But my breakfast every morning was the Quaker Oats, the little packets. So he would dump 2 of those.
Yep.
He would put a scoop of creatine in there, without me knowing. He'd put a scoop of creatine in there. We would use whole milk, and then I wash it down with those Boost drinks.
Yep.
So he would kind of dilute the Boost with some more whole milk.
Wow.
And that would be my breakfast every day. I would see all my friends. They would have egg waffles. They would have cereal. No, not me. I had a bowl of oatmeal with some delicious Boost on the side.
And no café con leche.
No café con leche for me. No.
So let's figure that out. That's about 1,000 calories. It sounds like.
It was a lot of calories, and then he would also buy me the weight, like Syntha 6 mass gainer stuff at that time. That was like the big thing, and I would pound down like 800 calorie shakes, no problem, and I still would not gain a pound. It was just so much cardio involved in hockey, and my metabolism was so high that as soon as I slowed down the cardio and I started picking up weights and I started reading magazines on how to actually train to build muscle.
Yeah.
The weight, I always had the shape, but then the size started adding, progressively over the years.
Yeah. So this would have been about 10 years ago or so, roughly?
Yes, this was about 10 years ago, and I did my first natural show. I did an NGA show here in Florida, and I just got so many stories. Every time it's my dad, so many stories. He sat there in the stands and he told the person next to him, he's like, "Can you be honest with me and tell me if my son is any good?" Because he's in his room reading these magazines of these muscular men, and I just don't know, and he's in a Speedo, and I had to shave his back.
Oh man.
So and he didn't understand this, he didn't understand this. So when I went up on stage as a teenager in this NGA show, I must have dieted for like 4 weeks for this. And the guy that was next to him, he was actually an NGA pro, and he goes, "Your son is in the right sport.
Wow.
Your son is here. He's gonna have to get better as time goes on, but he picked the right sport." And at that point, my dad was like, very happy, and he was like, let's do this. And then that's when I went and I decided to do Teenage Nationals the year after.
And you won your class there, right?
Yeah, I won my whopping class of 2.
Well, I haven't seen the pics from back then, but I'm assuming, when someone's got a really good structure and shape and everything, even when they're a lot smaller, it's pretty evident. If you look at pictures now, do you see smaller version of what we're looking at now?
I see the glimpses. I still had the legs.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
The hockey definitely would have given you those.
I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. Yeah. I didn't know what the hell depletion was, and I didn't know what the hell carb loading. And I see people carb loading backstage, and I'm there eating like rice, because that's what Cubans do. They just eat rice. So my dad's like, "Why don't you just eat some rice and put some soy sauce on it?" I don't know.
And I'm like, "Okay." Not a bad idea, actually, but yeah.
So that's basically what I did, and nothing has changed since then, because to make weight, I had to jump in the sauna too. Wow. So fast forward 10 years later, I'm still doing the same damn thing.
Oh man. So yeah, let's fast forward to 2014. Been competing at that point about 7 years or so, and you turned pro. You won welterweights at that year's MPC Nationals.
Yes.
So welter, you're 165 pounds when you won that, right? Roughly?
That's correct.
So at the time, all there is bodybuilding, and open bodybuilding and 212. Mm-hmm. So here you got your pro card, or they're going to send you it in the mail after you send your application in. So what are you thinking? Like, what's my next move from here? What were you thinking at that point?
At that point, I always, Jose Raymond was just like my idol.
Yeah.
And he still is, and it's great that we're really good friends, and he gives me great advice, and I would watch.
Hold on, I gotta just let everyone know what a good friend you are. About a year ago, Jose got married up here in Boston, And I see Santi and his girl Ariel. I'm like, oh my God, these people came all the way from Miami, but you did. And Jose is such a good guy that people came from all over the place. I think there was some people came from Europe, I think, a couple of them for that wedding. Anyway,
could not miss it.
So back to your story.
I would watch Jose, and I saw how he made his progression from, you know, a lightweight into welterweight, into middleweight, and just over the years, he just got better and better and better. And that was the vision that I had. The vision that I had was, you know, every single year I could add maybe like 5 or 6 pounds here, and I could just get better and better and better. And that was initially the plan, to do that and to slowly progress. And I was only 20 at the time. I was 25 years old when I got my pro card, right around 24, 25 years old. So I looked at it as, man, I have so much freaking time that as long as I show up every single year, I compete at least one show, and I continue to get on stage and get my feet wet and get the dieting and all that stuff, that eventually I could, you know, do very well in a 212 class. Yeah. And then I woke up very quickly because my body was just not meant to hold that much size. And I realized that, you know, coming off of the Miami show that I did, that when I was weighing only about 210 pounds after the show, and I was still fairly lean, I felt horrible. My joints were on fire. I couldn't sleep. And the only thing that I could think of is, man, this is 210 pounds. I need to be up to about 240 in an off-season setting to come down real nice to be 212. Can my body handle another 30 to 40 pounds? And, you know, and I just was trying to be as realistic as possible, and I knew that it wasn't for me anymore.
So you did that 212 show, was it 2015 or 2016?
That was 2015, I believe. Okay. 15, yeah.
So what did you weigh in at for that show?
I weighed, with my clothes on, I was 190.
Okay. So that's that's a good 20 plus pounds of lean mass since you turned pro. So
yeah, it was a fairly good off season. I was using Matt Porter at the time. Yeah. And you know, I ate so fucking much. I've never eaten so much in my life. And it felt like it also burnt me out because it felt like in the off season I was already prepping, because I was so meticulous and so anal about, like, I need to get my meal in at this time, and it just really just drains you. You know, by the time you get to that 20-week prep, you're like, oh my God, I haven't even started yet. Yeah. So I woke up very quickly, and I realized that, you know, the 212 class is not a life for me.
So there was still, at that point, there still was no classic physique. So were you going to hang it up?
There actually was. When I did my first show in Miami, they already they created the classic physique division. That was the first year. The problem was that after I was deep into my off season with Matt, they created this class, and I'm like, holy shit! Now I have to lose. I would have to lose. You know, I was about 200 pounds, and I would have to make weight at the time it was 170 for my height. So I would have to lose 30 pounds. I'm like, I can't lose. Where the hell am I going to take 30 pounds off of me from? Yeah. We just put on like 15, 20. Right. Where's this 30 going to come from? So it was not, I knew that if I really wanted to do it and do it correctly, I had to do what I did last year around the end of the year, which I did, which was just completely not train.
Wow.
I stopped training. I stopped eating like a bodybuilder. I stopped all my supplements. I stopped everything. Cold turkey, just done. And I just let my body kind of downsize itself naturally for almost 4 months.
Wow.
And it was difficult. It was very hard because I love to train. I love to eat like a bodybuilder. I love to, you know, work out hard and, you know, all the stuff that's outside of being on the stage. I love doing that stuff. But I knew that to get to the point that I am right now this year, I had to make that sacrifice last year and do that. It was very difficult.
You know, I wouldn't even call it a gamble, because I think, you know, once I once the division was created, you probably felt the same way, that the ideals of it, what they were looking for, that's more in line with your physique regardless. You're never, I don't think you're ever going to be like a Jose. I compared you to Labrada. That's what you remind me of. A slightly smaller version of Labrada.
I just like the emphasis on the posing and that's why bodybuilding, I was so drawn into bodybuilding to begin with, was the artsy stuff, was watching the posing routines and watching how these guys display themselves, on stage, and the difference between, somebody that poses extremely well and maybe doesn't have the best physique, but then how much more they enhance their physique if their presentation is top notch. Yeah. So all of that, taking into consideration, that's what drew me into bodybuilding, and that's what drew me into the classic physique class was that aspect of it, that maybe even if you are not the most shredded or the most aesthetic, that you can still bump points up and bump up your placing based on your presentation.
Yeah. So it's a very new division. Obviously, this is just the second season that it's existed. I see every level from the local shows all the way to New York Pro that I just watched, Toronto Pro. There's about half the people in that division that really belong there. And what I mean by that is a classic look is a certain look. It's not just because you're a certain height and weight. You're supposed to have wide shoulders, small waist, flaring thighs, and the presentation, all that stuff that goes along with it. Do you think eventually those people are going to either stop trying to be classic physique competitors, or they'll just get weeded out by natural selection, and we'll have a lot more people in this classic physique division that really epitomize everything it's supposed to be about?
I think that as the years go on, just like in men's physique, when you watch men's physique, I feel like, especially at the highest level of men's physique, everybody's fucking good. Yeah. Everybody's good. At the Olympia level, when I sit there and I watch every men's physique guy come out, there's not one where I'm really like, why is he here? And I feel like if you have so many shows, you're good. That's gonna happen. You're gonna have the highlight of the show, which is probably gonna be, a handful, maybe 5 or 6 people, and those are the guys that are gonna be in the call outs, Yeah. But then at that elite level, everybody's gonna belong there. Everybody's going to belong there. And I just think that the class is so new that, that you're just going to have, like you said, natural selection. You're just going to have those people that are going to be in the class that maybe, and I encourage it. I mean, shit, if they want to get out of these posing, out of these bikini suit or whatever, the board shorts, and they want to go out there and they want to pose, and by all means, like I'm the first one to say, the hell with those board shorts. Yeah. Train like a bodybuilder. Go out there. Even if you don't do well, at least, you're training the way that is meant to be trained. You're supposed to train every body part. You're supposed to show off every body part. And you're supposed to get into extreme condition. And I think that even if they don't necessarily belong there or they have that aesthetic look, I give them props for getting out of that division.
Yeah. I just interviewed Danny Hester about a week or so ago, and when he first heard about the division, he had earned his card I think a year before you at the Nationals.
Yes. Yeah, as a middleweight.
He had no intentions of being a 212 pro, because he's like, he knew he liked the way his physique looked, and he didn't have any intention of adding 20, 30 pounds of muscle just so he could have a fighting chance. So anyway, so I said, you must have been psyched when you heard about this new division. He goes, no, you know what, not really. I was really skeptical about a couple things. And you must have felt the same way, because he came up as a bodybuilder for 25 years before he did this classic thing. Mm-hmm. He said, why do we have to wear these bike shorts? Why can't we wear posing trunks, maybe a little bigger than the open guys wear? He goes, why can't we hit all the poses? I don't understand. So, did you have those questions? You still have those questions?
I hate it. When I take progress pictures, and it really bothers me because I take progress pictures in posing trunks.
Yeah.
And I see my taper so much better and so much more enhanced. My quads going all the way into my hip. It just makes my look so much more complete than you putting a box on me. And I'm not the you know, the most taperest type of bodybuilder that there is. So if you, on top of that, slap a box on me, it makes me look even more like a box. Yeah. And it sucks because I look at the photos on stage and I'm like, man, I look so, like, for me, I look so blocky. But then I take the same exact photo, same day, same everything, in posing trunks, and it looks so much more impressive in posing trunks. And I really think that if they want to enhance this class and just continue to make it better, they made a right decision by giving us 5 pounds, first of all. Yeah. I mean, now they're right on the right track. I honestly don't think that any more would do the class any better. I think that they nailed the weight. Yeah. Now, if you look at the classic bodybuilding in Europe, they wear posing trunks. Right. They wear full-fledged posing trunks. So if they want to take this away and they want to take it, you know, oh, we want to eliminate the glute show and, you know, all this stuff, and it's all about the glutes and stuff like that, then give us the classic cut of the posing trunk. Yeah. It's no big deal. Right. It's not gonna offend people, and it's not gonna, you know, turn people off from the class. I think people will get more excited that they actually get to wear posing trunks. And I think that the final step of making the class perfect is, like you said, is adding the front lat spread, adding the rear lat spread, adding the side tricep, because all these poses were done back in the day. It's not like they weren't. Yeah, I mean, the crab, you can eliminate the crab, but I don't see why any of the else wouldn't. All the other poses wouldn't be construed as, you know. Exactly. You know, when we have a voice here, so I'm gonna take this moment to directly address Mr. Jim Mannion, who I have tremendous respect for. Jim, please listen what we're talking about the trunks. If you think back to the best classic physiques, guys like Frank Zane, Bob Paris, Labrada, and so on, they all wore trunks. I think, and a lot of people I've talked to think a classic style posing trunks would be far superior to the shorts. And it's not even so much that I understand that they're trying to make a distinguishment between classes. Yeah. And, you know, they have the board shorts, then they have the small shorts, and then they have the posing trunk. Yeah. But at the same time, it really takes away from somebody's physique, putting a box on them. And if you notice, every single show that I've seen so far from the inception of classic physique, minus the first show, because everybody was wearing Danny Hesser was wearing Speedos. Yeah. Which was awesome. And so was Stan McQuay. He was wearing Speedos. Yeah. Which is exactly what I would want. Yeah. But if you then start going from show to show, it started again back to the shorts. Yeah. And then every show after that, we're starting to hike them up. Every show. Every show we're starting to hike them up. And then you see Arash, which is a good friend of mine, Arash at the Olympia, when he turns to the side, you can see half of his ass out already. So, all right, so guys are going to do it anyway. Just give them trunks. Give us trunks. Okay. Or at least test it out, you know? At least let us test it out. Yeah. Okay, I want to switch gears just for a second here. Most people know, if you don't, his better half is IFBB Fitness Pro Ariel. How do you say the last name? Kadar. I've never known how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry. Kadar. Okay, because there's no vowel. There's no vowels where they need to be. So how did you guys meet? How did you become a couple? Well, we first met each other through, just like a lot of people do, fitness and in the normal world, is through social media. Yeah. Back in the day, it was MySpace. Oh, it was MySpace. That ancient thing. Yeah, we're going back. We were friends on MySpace, but we never really talked to each other. But we knew who we were. You know, she was an up and coming, you know, fitness star in the NPC, and then she eventually was the youngest person to become a professional IFBB, you know, athlete. Wow. Oh, she's 17. She was 17 years old. Jeez. Yeah, 17 years old. She got her pro card, and yeah, so this was a long time ago. You know, then eventually everybody evolved into Twitter and to Facebook, and you know, this was, fast forward, I would say maybe 4 years ago. It's right around my birthday, and I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship. and you know, my birthday was coming around, and I was kind of depressed. You know, I just got slaughtered in July at USA's. I got out of a relationship. I rebounded terribly from the show. I look like shit. And my birthday's coming around, and all of a sudden I'm scrolling through Facebook one day, and boom, I see Ariel, and she's holding this big inflatable ball that says Live, L-I-V, and Live is the most famous nightclub here in Miami.
Oh.
So I immediately message her. I'm like, are you in Miami? And she's like, yeah, I'm celebrating my birthday. Her birthday is 1 week before mine.
Okay.
So I said, yo, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. She had a bunch of friends. I had a bunch of friends. We went out. We had a great time. And that's pretty much what started, you know, our relationship from there. You know, it was tough in the beginning because she lived in New York.
Ooh.
And she went to Rutgers. And, you know, she was getting her bachelor's in psychology. So she couldn't really, she was kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And I was also stuck because I had my store, my You Break I Fix store is here in Miami. So I couldn't move either if I wanted to. So we were basically anchored for about a year or two.
Wow.
And we were just friends, you know, at that point. And then after she was done with school, she decided to make the big move over here. And she moved over and she's now, she's one of those New York people that moved to the great state of Florida.
There's not too many of them, are there? Or is it?
Oh my God, the snowbirds, they're always here.
I believe everyone I've talked to down there either has a New England or a New York, New Jersey accent.
You go to the Dolphins game,
yeah,
and you go to a Jets game, and there's more green jerseys than teal jerseys. I will tell you that. There's more green than teal.
So, you know, most people wouldn't have any idea what this is like, being with another person who does the same thing, but something that's so unusual and so demanding in different ways. And so what are the best parts of it and what are the challenging parts of it when you're both professional athletes, competitors, and, you know, getting a lot of attention from the opposite sex and so on?
I would say that the best part of being with somebody like Ariel, because everybody's different, you know, the best part being with her when it comes to being on prep. Because when we're not on prep, we're normal people. We like to drink, we like to eat crap, and we like to watch movies, and we like to do all that stuff. But when it comes to actually prep time, we both take it very seriously. You know, and sometimes, you know, we clash because just like normal couples, we clash because we're trying to get ahead. And you know, if our schedules are not correlating together, then it's like, well, sorry, because I have to do it this way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very meticulous with the way that I schedule myself because you know, I'm just very time orientated. I have to do this at this time. I'm a scheduler, and she's more of a go with the flow kind of, you know, person.
Yeah.
So that's the part that gets a little bit tough, but the part that's the best is being with somebody that's better than you. And this was always when I played hockey.
Yeah.
I would always get better when I played against better people than me.
Right.
And that concept always stayed with me, is that if I wanted to get better myself, I had to surround myself with people that are better than me. I could not walk into the gym and be the best one because I can't like, you know, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I want to strive to continue to get better. And if there's somebody that's an example for me to continue to get better, she's the perfect example. I mean, somebody that is in their second year competing as a pro. They made it to the Arnold. They won their second pro show. They made it to the Olympia. I mean, this list goes on and on. So it's like I want to do whatever she's doing so that I can get better myself. And she sets that example for me. And I think that, you know, her setting that example for me is probably the best part of being with somebody that's so competitive. I want to be better myself as a competitor because of her.
Do you prefer competing in the same shows as her, or is it better for both of you when only one at a time is doing the show?
Financially, it's better to do the same show together. We did Toronto together last year as well, and it was interesting because that was the first time the first time I ever did a show with somebody, a pro level show, and it was the first time that we did a show together. But I think that it's easier for us to do or be dieting around the same time together, because I don't have, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Like last year when she was getting ready for the Olympia, I felt bad eating like sushi and stuff because she's there dieting, and I felt bad, and I'm, you know, very sensitive to her feelings and stuff like that, and she's the same with me when I'm dieting and she's not dieting for a show. So things like that were kind of difficult. You know, if I wanted to go out and eat with like family members and stuff, it was hard to include her because I know that, you know, you really don't want to be around them because of the food. Yeah. So it gets difficult when one is competing and the other one isn't. So this year it just so happens that we're doing so many fucking shows that we're overlapping each other everywhere. She's 2 weeks out, I'm 6 weeks out, so it kind of works out, you know, this way where we're both dieting together.
Cool. Now, you told me this story up in Toronto. It's on interview. People already watched it, but I want to reiterate it because it was, you know, people say their prep was a challenge. Everyone says, yeah, I've heard that. But you actually had something significant, and I'll try to recap it quickly. 4 weeks out, Santi, you made a decision to finish the prep on your own because, correct me if I'm wrong, the coach had you doing more cardio, burning more cardio calories per day than you were eating, and, you know, you just weren't feeling that this was the best route to go. Was that a very tough decision to make?
It was a very tough decision, and I want to clear the air on that a little bit, because the whole story is not being told.
Okay.
And when it comes to somebody that is dieting for a show, and I was coming, so people get a perspective of what I'm talking about, is that I came out of the Karina show, and I had another 9 weeks after the Karina show to now do Toronto. So I had this huge gap in between shows, which is the worst. First, I don't like doing it. I like to do shows within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So that I can stay on track.
Right.
And it was difficult for me to stay on track as an athlete. It was very difficult because I kept on in the back of my head, well, I'm 9 weeks out and I'm lean already. Right. You know, I could eat a little bit of this and I could eat a little bit of that. You know, not saying that he was perfect, I was perfect. I certainly wasn't perfect. And it got to the point where when I said, okay, you know, 6, 7 weeks out, all right, I'm done. I'm ready to get this on track. I'm ready to get on track. And I was still in shape. I was definitely way ahead 7 weeks out than I was 7 weeks out of the Karina show.
Okay.
So there was a lot of room to keep my calories up and then slowly bring me down. But on the flip of a switch, my calories were rock bottom. My cardio was super skyrocketed high. And I think that this, with somebody that has trouble with food to begin with, when you starve them like this, it's harder for somebody to stay consistent on a diet mentally because their body is literally starving. Yeah. So I was going, you know, 14 days at a time, eating 1,100 calories, burning 1,200 calories, doing 80 minutes of HIIT cardio on the stairs daily. And that was before even touching a weight. So that was even before.
What was like days 11 to 14 like during a time like that?
I blacked out. I don't remember them at all. My body hated me. That's all I could say is my body hated me. I was having trouble just doing basic functions throughout the day. Driving, I was falling asleep while driving. I was, you know, I couldn't just, like, I would look at something that I needed to do, a chore, and my body just did not want to get up and do it.
Right.
And that causes a problem, especially when you're a business owner and you need to do things and you need to be sharp as a business owner, and you're useless. That's basically what I was. I was useless at that time. So that's when I made the decision that, you know, that I needed to just do things on my own and do the best that I can to continue this diet. And, you know, I wanted to back out of Toronto because of this.
Wow.
I didn't think that I was going to be able to make it mentally. I didn't think I was going to be able to make it on 1,100 calories for another 4 to 5 weeks by myself.
Right.
And it was, again, I'm bringing him up, it was my dad, again, that he pushed me and he gave me insight to just continue and just do your best. He goes, you know, you were given a shitty hand. Just do your best, and, you know, if you do well, you do well, and if you don't, you know, there's always another show. Yeah. And I went into that show kind of with that mentality, and I guess it worked out.
How would you compare your look there to the way you looked at the Karina Nascimento show?
It was a different look. The Karina show, we overshot water by a long shot. We overshot water. The Karina show was a 1-day show. Okay. And the Toronto was a 2-day show. So that after we made weight at the Karina show, it was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon when we were able to make weight. I didn't eat. I didn't drink water the entire day, just like a normal weigh-in that I have to deal with. And we overshot water in the sense that he had me chug a half a gallon of water to rehydrate. Yeah. So quickly rehydrate, wait a little bit, and then start the carb loading process. And he likes to do a rapid backload, meaning that he likes to throw in the carbs all in one shot, boom, 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 and then let it digest overnight so that when I wake up, my stomach is nice and flat and tight. But the problem is that the carbs that we use were also wet carbs. So instead of using that half a gallon, which made sense, you know, to hydrate with a half a gallon, use it to make my cream of rice, my oatmeal and stuff like that. It was the half a gallon plus all the water that comes with those meals. And I woke up full as fuck. That's all I can say. I was full as shit. Yeah. So as soon as I went backstage and I touched some bands, I was there with my my trainer Carlos, Pastor Pump.
Oh, Carlos Rodriguez.
Yeah, Carlos Rodriguez.
Good guy, Carlos. I know Carlos.
He trains me at the gym. He does the training stuff.
Okay.
So he was there helping me get a pump backstage, and he looks at me and he's like, "Dude," he's like, "I've never seen you this big before. Like, not even in the gym." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I probably have to stop pumping up because I'm not going to be able to move on stage." So, and you know, that's like the extreme, because usually it's hard for me to get a pump. I over deplete, you know, the sodium's not there, and I go to pump up backstage and I barely get a pump. And this was like over pump, like it was crazy.
Wow.
So we overshot water on that one. I looked better 2 days before. I had crispy detail 2 days before. And as soon as we started using carbs, and that's something that I realized going into the Toronto too. Carbs, maybe it's because I'm such a low-calorie diet the entire time. Yeah. Carbs just are not my friend. I don't care how dry I am. I can be bone dry, not drink water for 24 hours, and as soon as I start eating carbs, first meal, I look exceptional. Second meal, I look phenomenal. Then once at third, fourth, fifth, then I start getting that film. I start looking watery, and by the time I eat 400 grams of carbs, I'm starting to spill already. So that's why my approach now is you know, I linked up with my buddy Johnny Castellanos, and we're going to be doing a fat loading, which worked for the Toronto, and that's the kind of approach that we're going to do, since I am very carb sensitive, and you know, chances are I'm going to be extremely dry for Chicago based on, you know, what we did in 12 hours with the fats. So I'm excited for that, and we already implemented a ketogenic style diet going into the show. and I already feel so much better. Even though the calories are literally the same, 1,100 calories, because I can't really go anywhere from that right now because I have to make weight. But I feel so freaking good right now on a ketogenic diet.
Wow. Okay, see, I know not everyone hates keto diet. So we got a little 4 weeks and 2 days till Chicago Pro. You've indicated in your social media that's the last show of the year for you. You still holding to that?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay, good.
No, I'm not. You know, it's bodybuilding now is almost as strategic as chess. It's so strategic with what you got to do. So I started, you know, strategizing in my head. I have to think about these things, worst case scenario kind of things. And if I go to Chicago and I just get points, I may have to do one more show just to solidify a top 5 in points. Right. And that's what I would do. You know, I go into the show, worst case scenario, not winning the show, but if I could accumulate some points, that gets me now jumping, you know, to the top of the pack on the points, and I may need to do one more show to solidify those points and cruise right into the Olympia.
Let's look at the schedule. What do we got for you?
It's going to be the California show.
Okay. Does Tampa not have a 212?
Tampa only has Masters Classic.
Well, that's what you get for being a youngster.
Oh, you only get it's only Masters Classic. Thanks, Tim Gardner. Damn it. No,
victory for old guys. Okay.
They have Masters Classic there, so it would have to be the California show, which is 4 weeks out of the Olympia, which makes sense. Go right into the Olympia from there.
Right.
You know, cross my fingers.
Right. But when I saw that when I read that, I was thinking, you know, I don't know if you're necessarily going to win the Olympia. There's some great guys, but if I were in your position, you've been doing pretty well consistently this season.
Yeah. I thought about it. I thought a lot about it, and I'm like, I'm already like balls deep in this thing for this year competing. I've never done 3 shows in 1 year. That's the most I always do is 2, and that's like stretching it. Is I'll do 2 shows a year. So 3 shows for me is quite a bit, and I'm like, man, well, if I got to do one more so I can make the Olympia, I'm gonna do it. You know, and it's so close to the Olympia already. And what's the worst that could happen? I don't make the Olympia and I look awesome at the pool party. That's fine. That's fine with me. That's fine with me. That'll be my Olympia, is the pool party.
Yeah, I don't want to be too much of an old guy here, but you know, the guys from the 80s and 90s, they see that these pros now only do like 1, 2, 3 shows a year. And they're like, well, what's wrong with you guys? You're a pro bodybuilder. You're a pro athlete. You compete. Because they would do, I remember some of these guys, those Grand Prix and all this, they would do 10, 15 shows a year. And it was not, no one thought anything of it. Yeah. That was the old days.
Anyway. Those were the days. I mean, I can't, honestly, like for instance, Darum, you know, he did like 17 shows, or I don't know how many shows he did last year.
A lot.
But I don't see it as a benefit either, because if you go back and you look at his first show of the year, the Miami, he was crispy, so crispy and fresh. But by the time he got all the way to the Olympia, you're exhausted. Yeah. I mean, it can't. It's not just that he's, you know, older than you know, the younger guys that are doing the class now. It's just anybody's body is gonna hit a wall, you know, with travel and with this and with that, and having to peak week after week. And sometimes he did 3 shows in 3 weeks. Yeah. That's really tough. Like, that's extremely hard. Yeah. And I wouldn't be able to my body won't be able to handle something like that. Like, I was looking actually at Vancouver week after Chicago. Right. And I'm like, there's no fucking way that I can travel 10 hours and, you know, from Chicago back to Miami, then Miami back to Vancouver. Yeah. And I also have I have a life. I have a business that I have to look over. I can't be away for 2 weeks in a row. So, you know, I got to balance all that.
Cool. Well, we've been talking for quite a while. I know you've been working all day, and you're still in prep mode. So I just want to end this by wishing you very best. I'll be there in Chicago. Hope to see you doing very well up there again.
Can't wait.
I think you're the type of physique. I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing. Guys like you, Bumstead, Breon, There's some really, really good young talent.
You know what's really exciting about the class versus last year is that now names are emerging.
Right, right.
And people that maybe were skeptical about the class now are getting excited when they see the lineup.
Yeah.
You know, they see, oh, so-and-so is going up against so-and-so. Like, we wanted to see this happen.
Yeah.
So now that it's the second year, now you're getting the sense of, like, you know, it's almost like sports teams. Like, you're now these people they want to see these matches between each other.
Yeah.
So it's
if you read the boards, you can see that last year there was very little talk even about the contest before, after, during, and now, you know, while we're doing play-by-play, they're asking about, you know, what about Bumstead, what about Santi, what about Durham? And, you know, you guys, it's exactly what you're saying. It is exciting to see that just like the 212 took a little bit, this is happening faster than that. 212 class, within a couple of years, you started having names and people were following it. And I didn't expect it to be this quick, but I'm happy to see it. You know?
Yeah, and I see that a lot of the top guys were bodybuilders to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what's really exciting. That it's all most of us are all bodybuilders. You know, that just probably had the same reason why I didn't do 212 or open bodybuilding. But what I'm really excited about, and what I'm really glad, is that they moved Classic Physique to the main stage already.
Oh, nice.
This just the second year. Finals are going to be on the main stage, sharing it with fitness and all that other good stuff. It's not going to be a sideshow at the expo.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really good move by the IFBB.
Well, you know, I don't want to keep going on about this, but it's, you know, men's physique is it's its own thing. Classic, even though it's called Classic Physique, you know, me as a long time fan and participant, this is bodybuilding, which is, I want to see the short, I want to see the trunks, I want to see all the poses, because to me it's just another category of bodybuilding that's a different option for people that want to see that look.
Mm-hmm. So. No, I completely agree, and I'm very excited, and I want to thank you and MD for having me.
Yeah.
You know, MD was, when I first started, MD was the magazine that I would read. I mean, I hate to sound cheesy, but it's true. MD was the magazine that I would read cover to cover all the time. That's when I was first exposed to performance enhancements from you know, all the articles and all the other articles that had to do with health and training and stuff like that. And that's where I first got exposed to my sponsor, Muscle Tech.
Oh, right on.
They had 20,000 ads in there. So you know, it's all coming together. It's all full circle.
Cool. So yeah, I want to thank you, Santi. Thanks for being a part of this. Wishing you the best of luck. I'll be there to cheer you on again. All the best to you. And for the Ronline report, it's been Ron Harris with Santi Aragon.